Hi, everybody. It is episode 539 of PodQuest.
Hey.
It is Tuesday, December 10th, 2024. I am Chris, with me is Druten.
Hello.
And Walnut.
Yeah, I'm here.
And we are hot off of PAX Unplugged 2024.
Oh boy, let me tell you, yesterday, I could barely walk.
I believe it.
It hurt to stand up, and it wasn't just, it was more my left than my right, which the right was where I had the surgery. It was my left leg in general was just so sore.
Were you just leaning on it more?
Probably leaning on it a little bit more, but it's also just, I don't know, it just hurt more. It also has arthritis, so it's probably arthritic pain.
Yeah. But happens when you get old.
Yeah. Not this old. Should be older.
Agreed.
Shouldn't be at 36. Like I said.
It's fine. You're 36 going on 82.
Exactly. I have the arthritic ankles of a 75-year-old. So not even the ankles of a 75-year-old, the arthritic ankles of a 75-year-old. So, it's worse. It's worse. It's insane. It's insane. But yeah, PAX. We had PAX. That's really all we're talking about this week. We also had Turkey Hollow. That's the other thing we're going to be talking this week. Yeah, I just jumped into what we're going to be talking this week.
Well, do it again because I wasn't paying attention, so I didn't write the timestamp down. Rich, what is on the agenda?
2 minutes and 9 seconds. Turkey Hollow and PAX. That's really it. That's all we got. We have more, but PAX is the big thing, and we're probably going to fill at least an hour and a half on PAX.
Maybe 45 minutes.
Something like that, but still, that's a lot of time.
I mean, it is. Hour and a half is a lot of time, though, too.
Yeah.
Well, I guess in that case, let's talk about Turkey Hollow.
Turkey Hollow. What a movie.
That is definitely a Lifetime movie.
Oh, yeah. But it's not, too. It's a kid's Lifetime movie, which is even weirder.
Yeah, I think it's just... I think they probably just couldn't find anywhere to play it, so that it became a Lifetime movie. And I don't know for sure, but I believe Lifetime, to play a movie on Lifetime, you have to say it's a Lifetime movie. But, I don't 100% know if it was, I know it says a Lifetime movie on it. I don't know, the extent of how much of a Lifetime movie it is. Because you're right.
The dad didn't fall in love with, a girl he met at, a truck stop or something like that.
Or one of the monsters.
One of the monsters.
Yeah, exactly.
Fair. But he was divorced.
He was divorced. He was divorced. Well, no, he was
uncoupled.
Uncoupled.
That was what it...
co-agreed uncoupled or some. I literally just watched this movie and there were some stupid lines that I just really all of the divorce lines were just just stop. Just stop. I know you're trying to make it easier for your kids, but your kids know. Your kids know.
Right.
At start, I thought the dad was a dick. I thought the daughter was a dick.
They both were.
And then, they both became less of a dick. She's the normal...
She was a teenager.
She's the normal stereotypical media teenager where their parents get separated, where she's blaming one or the other, or she's blaming them both and she's not happy about it at all. And so she's going to be a dick about it. And I get it. But I also understand being mad at him because he's I just need to offload my kids on my aunt until I get this project done. That is a stereotypical Lifetime theme right there.
Mm-hmm.
I need to get this job done. It's I have one weekend. Dude, if you... No job is like that, I don't think.
I don't know, yours feels like it would be like that.
You know what? You're right. I
was about to say the same thing. I'm like, Rich... Have you looked at your life?
I would turn around and say no. No. I just got divorced. I have a lot going on right now. I need time. I need to relax.
No. Sounds like you've got some more free time, now that you don't have a wife to nagging you the whole time.
Yeah. Her.
That's what they would say back to you.
Yeah. But overall, I thought the movie as a whole was completely inoffensive.
Yeah.
I mean, there were some jokes that were borderline, for what is supposed to be a family movie. Some of those adult humor jokes were well, Lifetime, you are this is not family friendly. I
mean, what I mean by completely inoffensive is it's not a bad movie. It's not a good movie, but it's not a bad movie.
I knew what you meant.
Yeah.
I know, but I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with this movie. It just exists. Kind of a feeling.
Yep. I can agree with that.
That seems about right. Like, there were some things where like I got a little chuckle out of it. Like,
Yeah.
all the ludicrous stuff was just so stupid that I couldn't help but chuckle at it.
The fact that he kept breaking the fourth wall was great to me. Because, like, this movie kind of needed that.
Yeah,
How
I mean,
ridiculous
that was obviously where all the commercials went.
Yeah.
Like, that every time Ludacris was there, that was coming back from a commercial break.
It was totally commercial breaks, commercial stops right there. And, yeah, it was... I thought the Muppets were great. I thought they weren't annoying or anything like that. Even like the kids weren't annoying. They were kids. They were just stereotypical movie kids.
I was let down by the lack of Muppet. Like, they really weren't in it much, and when they were in it, they weren't all that important to the movie.
Yeah, I mean, they were about halfway, which no, about maybe less than halfway. Maybe like a half hour into the movie of an hour and a half long movie.
But they were in it very little, is what I mean. And like, when I originally saw the movie, I'm like, oh, this is going to be like silly, like Fraggle Rock or Labyrinth style, like, or not Labyrinth, Dark Crystal, like, just something where it's like a bunch of puppets, like doing silly stuff, being silly with like some humans.
Yeah, like, and I still got those like Labyrinth feels. Really, Labyrinth is all mostly I can pull reference of. Like, I still got those feels of like silly things with silly Muppets, but it's like, again,
it was more human focused and a silly plot of the evil turkey raiser guy.
Yeah.
Which you know, it very much reminded me of like 90s like Nickelodeon Disney Channel movies.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the made for TV movies that we grew up on.
Yeah, only it was made like 9 years ago.
Yeah. Which, you know what? Probably because the people who watched the movies we grew up on were now making the movies. And are like, we just want to make movies like the ones we grew up on.
That's fair. That is fair. And yeah, I mean, it was a Jim Henson like workshop movie, so you know, at least they were good puppets, and like all the puppeteering was like top notch.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't think the acting was terrible or anything. I didn't think like some of the set design, like even you could tell because
there was some green screens there.
You could tell there were some bad, especially with Ludacris's scenes.
You could see the green screen on his face sometimes.
Yeah, like they're not getting him out into the fucking woods to film some of these scenes, and like that was bad. Like some of those green screens.
This movie can't afford Fast and Furious money.
No. Like the scene near the end when they take out the two henchmen. And they're apparently like on top of a mountain or something. I wasn't paying 100% attention at that point. I got a little bored. But like they're apparently on the top of a mountain in a clearing, and that whole backdrop was terrible.
Oh yeah,
it was so static and grainy. It was so bad. I don't know how that got past the cutting room floor.
They couldn't afford to do anything else.
Probably. They spent all their money on Ludacris. They were like, we need a big name. We need a big name. So screw the effects. Let's get Ludacris. Like, I want to know what Ludacris thinks of this movie. I really do. Because like,
he doesn't even remember doing it.
Probably not. He might have been high the whole time. Who knows?
I mean, he either did this as like a favor or lost a bet.
True. Let's see if Google has anything.
Even if he is the lowest paid actor in Fast and Furious, and he's not because Tyrese is still in those movies, like he still makes enough money to just like live off of the Fast and Furious checks. Not to mention, like he still does do music occasionally, and he's in those State Farm commercials now. Like Ludacris has become a household name, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
According to Google AI, he did it because he was asked to. Thanks, Google AI.
Oh, you mean how everything works?
Yeah.
Do you want to? Can you do this? Sure.
That's actually kind of cool. If somebody just asked and he said yes, like,
yeah.
Can we just ask Ludacris to like come on this show and maybe he'll do it?
Yeah, I googled why was he in Turkey Hollow. Like that's the most like bland request to search, and it was literally Ludacris Bridges narrated 2015 Lifetime movie Jim Henson's Turkey Hollow because he was asked to. And then when I click the link, it doesn't give me anything.
Yeah, I mean that all sounds accurate.
Yeah, but yeah, it was a completely fine movie. Like,
Yeah, like I said, I was a little bummed at the lack of puppets, but like it was unoffensive. Like we weren't just sitting there like bored out of our mind, like angry that we had to watch it. Like it was just kind of like looking at like reading the synopsis and looking at some of the images. Like I thought it was more about like kooky puppets and shit like that being like zany, and it wasn't.
Yeah,
that's not what the movie is.
Yeah,
and that's fine.
I feel
there
like
was one moment that I got mad at.
Which one?
That?
Them using the fucking Scooby-Doo line.
Oh yeah, I loved it. I loved that.
Yeah,
line.
No,
I get mad at it.
Why not?
Because it's not a fucking Hanna-Barbera production. It can't use the fucking Scooby-Doo line.
That is part of just public domain at this point.
It didn't earn the Scooby-Doo line. Also, the guy was never like. It wasn't like. If that guy was the hoodoo, what the fuck was the monster? If the guy had been the monster, then maybe it would have earned the fucking Scooby-Doo line.
Technically, he was. They set up that trap near the facility.
Yeah, but in Scooby-Doo, they usually like it's always got the fucking reveal of, oh no, he was actually the ghost, or he is the mummy. Pull the mask off it. Oh, it is Old Man Winters or whatever. Fucking.
I mean, yes, like that is actually how that should have gone. But yeah, I have very, very little else to talk about for the movie. It was fine.
Yeah. Also, them hot wiring the truck when literally one of the goons would have had the keys on them.
They just didn't have time for it.
Didn't have time.
15 minutes.
Didn't have time to do the thing that would probably been faster than actually ripping all the wires out to hotwire the car. Just go.
I don't know, man.
The keys
she did it very
paralyzed the fucking goon. I mean, she did, but
I mean, she stripped it with her teeth, twisted them together, and all of a sudden it was started. Yeah, what a weird movie.
So I'm down a rabbit hole of who owns what. Okay, so it is Disney. Hanna-Barbera is owned by WB and not Disney. And I was like, well, does anybody... Jim Henson's owned by themselves. Lifetime is owned by A&E, who is owned by Disney. So, yeah.
Jim Henson's owned by Disney.
The Muppets are, at least.
Jim Henson's been owned by Disney for like 30 years.
Okay, well, according to the Google AI, it was like the Jim Henson Company is owned and ran by Henson's kids.
Because I think they're like a subsidiary of Disney, maybe, or maybe the actual company is private, but their characters are owned by Disney.
So Henson sold the Muppets and Bear and Big Blue House properties to Disney in 2004, but retains the remainder of their program library as assets. As of 2024, Brian, Lisa, Cheryl, and Heather Henson maintain control of the company. So the Muppets and Bear and the Big Blue House are both owned by Disney. Everything else still owned by Henson. So that means Labyrinth and stuff too. But I'm sure they have like a deal with Disney, which is why all of their stuff is on it.
And I mean, like you said, if Lifetime's parent company is Disney, like
yeah. But I was trying to be like WB owns Hanna-Barbera and WB the subsidiary, but no, this was all fully Disney. But at 2016 was Lifetime owned by Disney. I'm not going to go that far into it. I don't care.
Well, no, but at that point, if it is now, then like that's why it's on Disney Plus now.
Yeah, but it's more about the line. That was all. That's what I was trying to track down. But yeah, it was fine. It was a fine movie. Nothing really spectacular to say about it. I feel like this movie may potentially, if kids ever watch this movie, like my nieces and stuff, would have had watched this movie now, this may go in the line of like a similar deal with Labyrinth, where like they'll grow up thinking about it, be like, oh, that was a movie that I liked as a kid, and it might be like a pseudo cult classic type of thing. But like I don't think it's ever going to be. This was what 2016 or 10 years almost from it. That's really all it's going to get. It's the only fame this movie is going to get is from us.
Yeah, exactly. Well, do you guys want to move on to PAX?
Yeah,
sure.
Actually, I guess first, what is our next book club?
Christmas movies, or do we want to just do like 2 weeks of Christmas movies, or do we want to do all three?
Well, I mean, like it's another holiday movie, but Rich, I think it's your turn.
I was going to do Scrooged.
Oh, that's right.
Right, that is what we said.
I forgot about that.
And I was thinking, do we want to do a Scrooge review and do 3 Scrooge movies? We can do Scrooged, Muppet Christmas Carol, and I think there's an actual Scrooge like animated movie with Jim Carrey. I don't really know if it's available anywhere.
No idea. I don't remember that particularly.
Look, I am happy to watch, at the very least, Scrooged and A Muppet Christmas Carol, because both of those movies are fantastic.
Or we could also do the classic Christmas Carol movie, the original.
The classic is A Muppet's Christmas Carol.
No, it's not.
I don't know what other movie you're talking about, because there is only one Christmas Carol, and it is The Muppets. Any other version is null and void, and has ceased to exist once the ideal version of the movie came out.
This is literally the only version of a Christmas Carol I'd ever seen was 1984's Christmas Carol, which was a TV movie.
Wow. You never even saw, like, the Flintstones one?
Well, I'm talking movies. That was a feature film length episode of the Flintstones. I don't know, but probably not. The only one I can remember ever specifically watching was 1984 Christmas Carol.
You've never seen the Muppet Christmas Carol either?
As far as I know, I'm sure I've seen bits and pieces of it. Same as with the original Muppet. Like, I'm sure when I watch it, I'm like, oh, I remember that scene. I remember this scene. I don't have memory of sitting down watching it straight through.
Fair. All right. Well, let's start with Scrooged, and then I am all for A Muppet Christmas Carol after that, because I have not seen that movie in decades.
We can do a Scrooge review. Like, I'm just saying. We can do 3 weeks of Scrooge.
I think it'll just depend if other ones are available anywhere.
Jim Carrey one? Okay, I now remember the Jim Carrey one. I don't know that I would want to necessarily rewatch the Jim Carrey one.
I think the Jim Carrey one was bad.
I haven't heard. I don't think it was good.
Yeah.
But A Muppet's Christmas Carol, fantastic. Cool. So in 2 weeks we will talk about Scrooged. That's where we're at.
Yep.
Awesome. And so we move on to PAX Unplugged 2024.
I had a blast. I thought the show was great this year. I feel like, I mean, at least our promo emails that we received had a lot of focus on trading card games, but there was a lot of new games, a lot of games I'd never seen before, a lot of big stuff. Like I had 2 major disappointments. One was that there was no mystery box that they do every year, and who knows if they're going to be able to bring it back, but they didn't do it this year because they didn't have stock for it. And the other was the train on Sunday to and back from PAX, because the speed line didn't think about the fact that there was an Eagles game at convention and Christmas Village all in the same goddamn weekend and goddamn day, and they still kept it with a Sunday schedule with half-hour trains. Other than that,
they ran so light on Sundays.
Yeah, half, and they were even small trains too. They weren't like full trains. It was like half as big as it was all weekend, and I had to wait a half hour in the morning to catch my train, and a half hour at night to catch my train, and we were packed in there like sardines. It was nuts. And like on Sunday night, I'm leaving, and the train pulls up, and it's packed and loaded, and I'm yelling, like I'm speaking very loudly. It's fucking Sunday, and they're running a fucking Sunday schedule, the Eagles game, a convention, and Christmas Village all at the same fucking time. They're morons. They're saving money. They're not morons. They probably know what they're doing, but at the same time, like, it was such a pain in the ass to squeeze into a train on Sunday night.
Yeah, that does not sound like a fun time.
No, but other than that, like, Sunday was a good day. The whole weekend was great. I had a lot of fun. I mean, let's go day by day if we want, or whatever you guys want to talk about. I had a ton of meetings this year. What was it? Like 3 on Monday and 3 on Sunday.
Man, how did you have a meeting on Monday?
Friday, I mean. Let me just look at my schedule. It was actually 4 on Friday and 3 on Sunday. I had one of the Sundays that was supposed to be on Saturday, but I changed that up because of scheduling for other. I actually finally got to play D&D at PAX this year.
Right, because that was your Saturday, right?
Yeah, that was Saturday. And like my meeting was at 2, and the game I signed up to play was 10 to 2. No, my meeting was at 12 noon, and the game I signed up to play was 10 to 2. And so it's like, well, I can't leave halfway through for a half-hour meeting and then come back or anything. So I just rescheduled.
Which seems valid.
Yeah. But then I ended up not going to one of the meetings on Sunday because the guy I made the meeting with was not there, and that table was doing a demo with other people, and we left like 5 minutes into the meeting, and they still weren't done or finished. And I never went back, and I was just like annoyed. I'm not going to talk about who it was or anything.
But it was a weird one, being that like it wasn't at a booth; it was literally at like the demo tables.
Yeah,
and that was all like the meeting thing said was demo tables in Hall C. Yeah. So it was actually kind of hard to even find them because you just had to wander the demo tables looking for like a company name.
Yeah, and like the email that they sent was like, "Come talk to us about our upcoming projects and what we have and what we have," but it didn't like talk about the game itself in the email. And I'm sitting, me and Cobb, we were standing there waiting for the meeting, and the game was just, the game didn't really look that interesting. I don't really know what it was about either. I was just like, all right, well, if this guy who's doing this demo doesn't stand up and be like, I have a meeting now, let me see if I can find these. Let's say goodbye to the people I'm working with right currently. I was just like, I'm the guy, and that's not even the guy I made the meeting with. Like, it said a meeting with so and so, and it had his picture, and he wasn't there. So I was like, all right, this is kind of unprofessional. I'm leaving. I was also extremely tired, incredibly tired on Sunday.
Well, Rich, why don't you start? Because I think you're the only one that had stuff scheduled on Friday.
Drew had stuff scheduled on Friday.
I had meetings on Friday.
Oh, for some reason, I thought that you were just Saturday and Sunday.
No, no. The only meetings I had scheduled were Friday.
Oh, okay. Well, why don't you assholes start then?
A lot of the stuff that I'm going to be going over with who I talked with, there will be videos for over on our YouTube in about a week or two. And then any of the games that I got to as review copies and demo copies and whatnot will be videos both on our OneQuest YouTube as well as my personal YouTube with different kinds of videos for each of them. But I did the first meeting I had, it was the first meeting of the weekend. It's 10 o'clock Friday morning. First thing when the show opened. I spoke with Gamey, who I spoke with last year. They had the tree trimmer game. This year they were showing off their upcoming game, Galaxy Fighters, which isn't even out yet. They're doing a Kickstarter, I believe, in like May. It's either May or March. It was one of the M months. I remember that much.
Yeah, I believe early next year for sure.
Yeah, I believe he said May. And this game looks fantastic.
It does look really cool.
It is a play on old school classic arcade space shooters like Galaga and Galactus and games like Invaders. That. Space Invaders, combined with the way I liked it was combined with basically missile command on a board game.
Yeah.
And so there are 4 zones, and each ship takes charge of a zone. I believe like if you're only doing 2 players, there's only 2 ships on each zone. I don't fully remember. It seems like you need to use all 4 zones. But in the middle, the game will line you up with how to set up your invaders, your aliens, and then every turn you pull a card, make sure the card is facing you, and then you place new space invaders, new aliens invading new ships on top of and with the other aliens on there. So like it may double and triple some aliens. You may have aliens stacked on top of each other. You then have your phase of attacking the aliens however you can with, I believe it was like 2 or 3 actions.
Well, so you roll 4 dice.
Right, that's what it was.
They'll have either an attack symbol, a move symbol, or a special symbol. And there are multiple different ships. There's multiple different like special attacks, and then multiple I forget what they called them, but like alternate abilities. Like when I played the alternate ability, the ship I was at had that instead of moving, I could use a move symbol to add a shield onto the ship. So if it got hit, it wouldn't die.
Yeah, the ship I was using has a when it moves, it has a companion like robot that follows it, that when you move, it follows you and then shoots 1 shot up or something like that. I can't 100% remember how it worked. But it was a really cool concept that the whole point of the game is you're going to eventually lose. There's no way to stop the invasion. But once 2 locations get fully invaded with 10 ships each, that's when the game's over, and then there's like victory points and stuff that you add up. But after you do your action turn with your dice and finish all that up, you then activate all of the ships facing your zone. So if the ships are facing down, they move that many spaces based on how many triangles they have facing you. And if it's a ship on top of another ship, and that ship is facing left, that one also moves in the left direction, or in the right direction, or in the up direction, depending on which way it's facing. But you don't activate it unless the ship on top is facing you, and it comes down into your zone. That's when you then have to start, like, acting to defend your zone, rather than just shoot everything in the middle. You have to stop your zone from getting invaded, because you may lose points if you're the person who gets all 10 and stuff like that, or once all the invasions come in from you're done. Or like I said,
there was a spot on each side for like 5 invaders, so I think if 5 got past the bottom row, you're out.
It's 10. It's both sides.
Oh, was it both sides? Okay,
it's both sides. Yeah. But it's just the game. The art looks really cool. The whole references to like old school classic arcade games is really cool, and it's just overall I'm super into this game. I can't wait. They're gonna email me when the Kickstarter goes up, and plan on maybe having some sort of like conversation, like online internet conversation or whatever, like pseudo interview type thing to record to talk to them about it. But the Gamey is a small developer. They only have like 3 games currently, 4th coming out with this one, and they're based out of New York, and they're cool people. I met with them last year, and every year they're at PAX, I'm going to meet with them because they're really cool. I like talking to them.
Nice. What else do you guys have from Friday?
So at 11 o'clock on Friday, I met over at the Rabble booth to play the game called Finding Calm that they have coming out in March of next year, or at least that's when the Kickstarter or whatever launches. Definitely March of next year. It's a tarot-inspired, like, mindfulness activity. I'm going to call it more than a game. But, it has a gamey element to it. So you start out with your tarot deck, and you put 1 card down. Every card will have a symbol on each edge, and will either be a moon or a sun. The objective of the game is to wind up with a 3x3 grid where only 1 card is face up. And when you put a new card down, if a sun is facing a card that is already on the playfield, you flip that card over to be face down. And then once you have your 9-card grid and only 1 card face up, it comes with a little companion book that will have an activity for whatever that card is. So, like in the little demo we ran through, we ended with the lighthouse being the face-up card, and that had a little, like, 5-step thing to do for a little mindfulness activity. Like, I forget the exact things, but it was like, find 5 things in the room and just, like, focus on them. Take 4 deep breaths, 3, 2, 1, blah, blah, blah. And then every other card had a different activity that you would do for it. So it was a neat little, like, okay, here's something I can just kind of hammer through a game that takes me out of my own head. And then here's a very specific thing to do to, like, again, just be outside your own mind for a little bit. And I thought it was cool.
Nice.
And the art was really nice. The cards were really pretty and had nice, like, gold foil.
Did you say who made that game, or who was it makes that game?
Rabble.
Gotcha. Interesting.
Yeah. I said they went fancy, but I had myself muted, so no one heard it. So I'm saying it again.
Yeah, that was neat. It was a neat little thing.
Cool. Rich, did you have anything else?
Oh yeah. At probably about just after 1 o'clock, or about 1:30, I met with Ian over at Floodgate Games. They did the Skyrockets game last year, the one with you're making the fireworks display with the sand dials, the hourglasses. This year they had a new game to show off called Landmarks, which is basically, I'd put it as sort of a combination between Codenames and Mysterium in a way, What it is you're on an island, and all of the spots are blank. There's how many tiles are there? 32 tiles. So there's 32 places that are blank. You have one player who has the clue card that knows what the map looks like, and then everyone else, they have to pretty much figure out what you're trying to say based on the clues that you give. So the back of the box, it shows that you have blank tiles, and you write 3 words initially. So let's say I wrote beach and taco on 2 of them, and then I gave you the hint shell. You could either, if you think about it, you word association, taco shell, you find shells at the beach, you could put them in between, but like, where would you put them in between? You put them on top, put them on bottom. That's where you got to figure out if that's the right path to go or not. Then I could, trying to get you to keep going forward, I could write corn. Well, tacos are made of corn. The shell of a taco is also made of corn. Like maybe
unless it's made of flour.
Unless it's made of flour, and that's where you're kind of trying to think. I don't understand. Like, this is the back of the box, and I don't know why they're trying to connect corn. I would not connect corn with shell. I would connect corn with just taco. So it would be on one of the spots. It's not touching shell or beach, but that's just me. It's a word association game. The whole point of the game is to go around this island, find all the treasure, and make your way to the exit that only the clue giver knows, without landing on any traps or getting cursed to where you can't leave the island. And it's a very simple game, 2 to 10 players. It doesn't take long to play. I thought it was a really cool idea. I'm bad with words, so it's going to be fun when I'm the word giver, the clue giver.
The word giver.
Yeah, the word giver. But yeah, they gave us a review copy for it, so I will definitely be playing it as soon as possible. I have a game night this week that we're going to be playing some of the games that I got as review copies. But
and also similar to Codenames, it has a competitive mode where there will be 2 teams playing off the same map, trying to get to 4 total treasures first. But you might accidentally land on another team's treasure and unlock a treasure for them.
Yeah, and
there will be some team specific treasures, some neutral treasures that either team can get. And so it looked cool.
Yeah, and that's what Floodgate. These guys are awesome. Meet with them pretty much every year as well. I then spoke with I believe their company is called Spooky Games. Let me just double check, but they made a game called Lemon Game. Do you want to talk about Lemon Game while I look up the company name?
Sure, yeah. So this is a quick little fun game where you're trying to build or make the perfect picture of lemonade, where you want to have a 9-card hand that has 3 waters, 3 lemons, and 3 sugars in it. There are then hazard cards of flies, which will eat your sugar, the sun, which will evaporate your water, and mold that will kill your lemons.
Yeah. Well, that's
so at the start of your turn, if you have any of the hazard cards, you have to discard 1 matching play card, one of the matching items.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you have the sun, you have to discard a water if you have it. If you don't have the card that you need to discard, you can then discard the card itself. Like the sun, if you don't have any more water, the sun goes away. Not really, but you then discard the sun. Or if you don't have any more sugar, the fly flies away and finds more sugar.
Mm-hmm.
And you end up discarding it.
And then so there will be some cards on the board. I forget if it was 5 sounds right. I don't remember exactly. But on your turn, you can either swap a card from your hand with something on the board. You could just take one of the cards from the board, or you can trade cards with, I guess, more steal cards.
Yeah.
From another player. So if I could give 2 cards to Richie, but I can't ask for a certain thing back, that's why I say more steal. I would give Richie 2 cards and then randomly take 2 cards from his hand.
Yeah.
So they could be helpful to me. They could not. That's kind of the risk you're taking when you do the trade. But
you could end up stealing their mold or their flyer or whatever, and then you can't get rid of that until the next turn, which means the start of your next turn you're going to have to get rid of some cards. It was a really cool, quick game. He's a local developer here from PA. Spooky Ghost Games is his company. He's the only he owns the company. Like, it is him. Tyler was his name, and yeah, it's a cool, quick game. Not hard to learn, not hard to pick up. Just really fun and silly. Me and Drew played a whole game with the one of the demo guys. I've got a video of that. Just like I don't have any other videos of games as of this point, but I do have a video of us, so we're definitely gonna share that on our YouTube at some point. But yeah, it was quick and fun. Drew stacked the deck for me, which was nice.
Apparently.
So Drew shuffled and dealt, and he dealt me 2 of each. Or it was. I think you either deal 5 or 6. I think it was 5, and he dealt me like 2 sugar, 2 water, and 1 lemon or something like that. And I threw out the rest of the game. I was just taking cards from the table. We had two of my turns go by where I took cards from the table, and I almost had enough. I just needed to swap out some cards or something, and it was like I was this close, because you also draw a card each turn as well. I think I can't.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah. I'm pretty sure you do.
Yeah, so like you do your action with either trading with the other player, swapping with the deck, or taking something from the table, and then you draw a card as well. And so you don't always know what you're going to be drawing, and I somehow was able to get everything within 3 rounds.
Yeah.
After stealing with somebody, because Drew stacked the deck for me, and so I was able to win like that. It was good. It was fun. It was a nice, quick, little, easy game. Doesn't take long to play. Doesn't take long to learn. I liked it, so I ended up buying it. So at some point, we'll pull it out and play it. They were also one of the demo things, or one of the swag things, I guess, they were giving away during the show was air fresheners that were incredibly strong. It was wrapped in its wrapper and in my bag, and every time I opened it up, I could smell nothing but the air freshener. It was wild how strong that thing was.
Was it like one of like the paper like hang in the car air fresheners?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. Those things fucking, I feel like they've gotten more potent in recent years.
Yeah, well, and like I said, that one was wrapped in the bag. Like, I never opened the baggie up. It was just going through the baggie.
I always feel like those are either the most insanely powerful thing or actually have no scent to them.
Yeah.
Erica got one at a car wash, like for signing up at a car wash, and she just kind of like opened it a little bit and then put it in like the little compartment on the driver's side door. Within like 5 minutes, her whole car smelled like it. Like, it was crazy.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a very pleasant smell. So
okay.
Do either of you guys have anything else from Friday?
Well, real quick on Friday, I meant to go back some other time during the weekend, but then things got crazy, so I never did. But I quick stopped over by our friend Sam, who had did the game Outrun the Bear that I believe officially came out last year, or was it 2 years ago? And now he has a new game, Button Kingdoms, that I saw last year in like the Unpub. He was out on the show floor this year with it. It's almost done. I believe it's coming out soon. He did say he had one bone to pick with me from last year's, because apparently I said that players will be eliminated during the game. You are never eliminated during the game.
I can't believe you lied to everybody.
I know, right? You know, but yeah, no. The art on it looks good. The cards look real cool. It's definitely got a cool aesthetic to it with the whole like stuffed animal battlefield thing going on.
Nice.
We did. Me and Drew had. I had one more meeting, or I went with one more meeting. With Drew. Capstone was the company.
Oh yeah. Yep.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't really have anything necessarily great to say about it. We didn't really get to talk to the guy that much. He kind of just sat us down to play the one board game he has, which is Indigo, but with butterflies. I think it's. I think he literally just said
with butterflies.
Yeah. So you know the board game Indigo. Do you know what that is?
No.
So basically, it's Sorrow but opposite. Whereas Sorrow, you're trying to go from. You're trying not to leave the board. Indigo, there's a bunch of gems in the middle and a bunch of gems around the border that you're trying to get off the board onto your zone. And it's just you're moving gems. And there's like pathways that you're placing tiles, just like in Sorrow, with moving pathways. I believe the guy might have even mentioned it while we were playing that, oh yeah, it's just Indigo or something like that. I've played Indigo before, but this time you're moving colored butterflies and not gems. So I'm like, all right, well, I've played this game before. I've seen this game. It's you reshaped it. I think that's kind of messed up. And then like it felt to me, and I hate like kind of bad mouthing or bad talking somebody. We didn't really get time to talk to him. He didn't really show us anything. He was like, here, play this, and then talk to everyone else. And like didn't really give us the time, didn't really give us much of a chance to talk. So
it's always fun.
Yeah, I felt a little perturbed about that meeting, especially since the game is a game I've played before. Like literally, if you look up Indigo board game, Drew, board is it's exactly the same. So yeah, but like I hate bad mouthing developers, but I felt like that was a bad interaction in general, similar to the interaction that I end up not having on Sunday,
which is fair.
Yeah. And I think Drew, you had one more meeting on Friday.
So I real quick met with the developer of this program called Hedron. It's tabletop RPG web-based like world building tool. But also I guess that's kind of even less than what it is. You can basically build a full RPG, like a whole mechanics and everything within their system. I wound up having to leave a little early, so I had to kind of reschedule things with him, and he was able to meet with me a little bit early and kind of give me the rundown, but it was a quick meeting, kind of the opposite interaction where he gave me as much detail as he could in as short time as he could so that I could leave on time. But it sounds really cool. They're trying to add more and more stuff. It is currently a free thing to go on and just do pretty much everything. At a certain point, they are going to like implement like subscription model, but I want to say the like low tier was like $3 a month, but that would only be for people who basically are making something that they are going to be making money off of, like going that in depth into things with the creation on there. Everyone else, there would still be free tier that they could work through and get more than enough from. But it sounds interesting, and I keep meaning to look more into it, but did not have any more time over the weekend. So,
what was the tool called again?
Hedron.
Nice. Yeah. But yeah, that's the meetings. Did you guys see anything Friday that was interesting to you? Or there was one game that I pretty much bought on spot. It was Knights of the Hound Table. It is a 1v1 deck building card game with dogs as knights. So
nice.
Sir Pups a lot and stuff like that.
That's fun.
Yeah.
I bought a game called Oh My Pigeons, mainly because they had a crane machine that you would get a stuffed pigeon out of.
The booth a bunch.
And then I forget the other game that we bought. Hold on, I'll go look for it. It's Cat something.
Well, while Drew's looking for that, on Friday we stopped and demoed a game called Crabs in a Bucket.
Okay.
Which, Rich, I talked to you a little bit about this. It is like they took like Uno, and kind of expanded on it a bit. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't use like Uno cards. It uses like a normal deck of cards, basically. So it's
So it's Crazy
8. Kind of, but no. I see what you mean. But so you have your 2 through ace in the 4 suits, but then you also have like 15 crab joker cards. Mm-hmm. And what you do is as you're playing, you're doing the normal rules of Uno, where you're playing a card based on either its suit or its number. So if you can go what's the word I'm looking for? Like 2 on top of a green 2 on top of a red 2, or you can do 4 of clubs and a 5 of clubs or something like that. But then you also get these crab joker cards that do different effects. Some of them are pretty simple, like it lets you pick up like the last joker used, or it lets you play multiple jokers at one time, which you don't get to do all their effects, but it lets you just get a bunch of cards out of your hand all at once. And just like Uno, the object is to get out of cards first. And then you have a couple that let you like look at your opponent's hand and trade cards with them. Or there's one where you swap hands with your opponent. If your opponent then has less cards than you, your opponent has to draw 4 cards. So like if I have 2 cards and Drew, let's say we're playing, you have 3, I swap hands with you, you now have to draw 4 cards, and I have 1 because I just played a card. So like it kind of has some of that stuff, and there's a couple like wild cards mixed in too. So there's like some 10s that have dual suits on them, so you can kind of like play them on top of each other, or not on top of each other, but you can play them either way, and then you can play either suit on top of that. And the game also allows you to play multiple cards at one time if you have like a run of cards. So if you have 2, 3, 4, 5 all suited, you can just keep playing all of those. Or if you have 4 2s in each suit, you can play all 4 2s all at one go. And then the final kind of like twist that it has on Uno is all of the face cards. So your Jack, your King, your Queen have some sort of secondary effect. So when the face card is at the top of the discard pile, it blocks the use of jokers, and if a player can't cover it before the end of their turn, so like play a card on top of it, they then suffer some sort of effect. I remember the King specifically was they have to draw 2 cards instead of 1, and that is after drawing like the initial card to see if they get a card that they could cover it with. And then the Queen I know was draw 1, and I want to say the Jack was actually they have to take a card from like the person who played the Jack. And then if your whole round gets back to you and your face card, excuse me. Sorry, I've been trying not to sneeze for like 5 fucking minutes, and it finally like hit that breaking point, but I can talk now. So if your face card goes all the way around and comes back to you and it is still the top card, you then get to do Crab Solution or Crab Volution, something like that. And I unfortunately, at the moment, forget exactly what it did. But it basically lets you, like, discard some cards, or it gives you a very good, like, bonus to basically, like, no one being able to cover up your last card and having to just, like, pass all the way around the table. And it was actually super quick, even with, like, all these, like, weird extra rules. And there are a couple, like, Joker cards that are hard to get rid of. So I had one that it was, like, the zombie crab, and every time you play it, you actually pick it back up. So it's really hard to like get out of those cards. But if you happen to hand it off to an opponent during one of the other Joker cards, you're kind of like forcing them to be stuck with it until they can find a way to get rid of it. So yeah, it was a fun game. We ended up actually buying a copy of it because it was a cool, quick game. We already knew the rules of Uno, so it just kind of added a little bit with the crab side of it. And it's something like you can play with 2 players, you can play with 6 people. Like it kind of scales well because it is just Uno.
Yeah.
But yeah, Crabs in a Bucket is what it's called, and it was by Blue Rondo Games.
Awesome. Anything else from Friday?
Not on Friday. We kind of just wandered around and like kind of checked stuff out. Bought some random stuff, like non-game stuff. Like Erica bought some pins and things.
Yeah. I know for both of you guys, Fridays were your early days, because you guys both had concerts and other stuff going on Friday. It was a busy weekend for everyone overall. Like even outside of PAX, like y'all, we were all just freaking busy.
Dude, we didn't even get there until like noon on Saturday because I had a concert Friday. I got home from the concert and then we had people over till like 1:30.
Yeah.
Like unintentionally, like we just kind of looked up at one point and it was like 1:30 in the morning and everyone's like, oh, we all have stuff to do in the morning.
Yeah, I get that. But yeah, so like besides, like I know I walked around quite a bit on Friday. I ran into Drew for a while. I can't remember what we looked at. If there was anything spectacular other than that. I saw this game called Ziggurat, which apparently my brother's been looking forward to. It's basically like it's a legacy. It's a light legacy game, basically. So it's like it's a legacy game, but it's made more for like 6 sessions and not something like Pandemic or Legacy of Alan Nublar, where it's going to take like 12, 13 hours.
So you got to see that.
What's that?
You got to see that?
What?
Ziggurat?
Ziggurat, yeah. I saw it. I walked up to it. They showed me about it. It looked really cool, and it's a very like quick, no more than 6 hour legacy game.
Nice. Yeah.
And
I was supposed to actually have a meeting with them on Saturday.
Oh, yeah?
I tried to reschedule it, but they never responded to the email.
Oh, damn.
Like, understandably, like, they're at the show too, so just no one was checking email that weekend.
Yeah, but I did get to see it. I checked it out. It was really cool. The other game they had right next to it was this like game where you place pegs and then you got to put like rubber bands around 3 of the pegs, and then you start placing marbles. And if you cause marbles to drop, you have to collect all the marbles. And the point of the game is to lose all your marbles. So like it's a bad thing if you cause marbles.
I get it.
Yeah. It looked really cool as well. I wish I like got more time with them, but that it was literally I met with Gamey and then I decided to walk back to front because I was already at the back and it was like 10:15, and then like it got incredibly packed that I felt so squished even all the way in the back, which is wild to me. I figured everyone would went front to back, that I decided to just go halfway down the show and then start walking things. So like I didn't get a lot of time with them. I didn't schedule a meeting or anything with them, but it looked like a cool game.
Yeah, some of the stuff that they had looked like it was kind of neat, and I just didn't get a chance to check it out.
They also gave me for talking with them, they gave me a pin for Ziggurat, and so that's now on my bag. I have moved a lot of my pins from the strap of my bag to the flap of my bag because I was knocking.
Oh, so the thing I recommended, you said no, I can't do that. It won't work.
I never said it won't work, but I'm more afraid things will fall from that. But I had way too many pins, is what it is. Like I couldn't put any more pins up the strap of my bag. I think I need just a bigger bag for when it comes to PAX. Something that might be maybe a backpack.
Maybe one of those board game backpacks.
No, I don't want something that big. But it's just, it gets really uncomfortable carrying. Like that selfie stick I showed you, Cobb, wasn't light.
That thing was surprisingly heavy.
And but it's a telescoping selfie stick, and so it's pretty heavy. And I was carrying around that with like the mic and the battery pack and everything else that I didn't wasn't that heavy, but like that bag just felt uncomfortable on one side. So I might need to get like a better backpack or something next year and just put all my pins on them. But yeah, Friday, like I can't really remember anything else. I don't know if you guys saw it all the way down the end. Drew, you might have seen it going to pick up your badge. They had Ekans toss where somebody hand crocheted a bunch of Ekans, like the Pokemon, and a bunch of Diglets from I think Pokemon Stadium 2 or one of the Pokemon ancillary Pokemon games where you would have to throw an Ekans and it was ring toss but with Ekans and Diglets. Somebody made a life-size version of that. I didn't get to play it. I was hoping to be able to like steal my nieces on Sunday to go play it and record them playing it, but I didn't get to. But I did get a few pictures of it. I thought that was pretty cool. And that was really cool. That like the show itself looked like they were using a lot more space around the convention center and not just the expo floor.
Yeah, I feel like they did have a few things like set up in other places, especially because they were using that like area above like the fourth floor for like the unpub and everything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Also, I have to mute myself for a minute. Ben just ran downstairs, so I'm going to see if he has to go outside. And Eric is not home. She has her Christmas party tonight. So you guys go on about Saturday, and I'll jump in.
Yep. And also they moved. They added a bunch of seats on the upper floor above the expo hall for like the game library. You could like I think it was like 100 more seats or something. I didn't get around to getting up there.
I poked in there on Saturday, and it was probably way more than 100 to be honest. Basically, that whole upper floor was just like free play. There was the sectioned off unpub area. I think first look from some specific games. That section, I forgot to kind of go back and look because after I just kind of meandered through the unpub area, didn't sit down to play anything. Everything, all the tables were already busy as I was walking through. I forgot that the one side wasn't just more free play area until just now, so I never went back and looked at that first look area.
Yeah.
But yeah, then there was a huge more area for the free play.
Yeah, and then like I never like explored the downstairs area, but they had it seemed like they they had the. I mean, not. It didn't seem like they did have the whole convention center. There was no other convention, and they had a lot of space for RPG. Like D&D had its own room. Other RPGs had their own rooms. Like it wasn't just like one room for all the RPG. It was like there's this room for like these three and this room for those few. But
like one whole hallway of the meeting rooms in the downstairs was just RPGs.
Yeah,
and, like you said, different rooms were different RPGs.
Yeah.
Kind of the only thing I really did on Saturday was went to I forget exactly what it was called, but it was the Jocks and Nerds panel with Johnny Stanton, who's a former NFL fullback. He played for the Cleveland Browns and started a game of D&D among some of the team members.
Oh, nice.
There. Abria Iyengar from Dimension 20 and such. Iffy Wadiway. From Dropout. And Dropout, what was the last guy's name? Tank. I forget his last name, but he does like nerd fit stuff, and he's a former MMA fighter.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very funny.
That's cool.
It was them talking about their history in playing sports, and then being nerds, and then combining the two things, and what things each of them brings to the other thing, kind of stuff. And then they did a little Q&A. Mm-hmm. As I was walking, Sarah and our friend Kristen were sitting in the like med badge area waiting, because Sarah's ankle's still not 100% from last year. They went down to get in line. I was poking around for a little bit in the expo hall, and then as I got a little closer to the time for the panel, I went down, and as I'm walking down the hallway, I see Abria's talking to people in the hallway, and I get to Sarah, and I'm like, Abria's right down there. Mm-hmm. And at first she was like, where? And I pointed, and then like looked away for a second, and Sarah in that time made the decision to just go and went and talked to her.
I had known that if I'd ran into her throughout the convention weekend, I would have like given her a mouthful about the fact that I cried more during this season of the comedy show Misfits and Magic than any other show I've ever cried. Like, it was a great season, but like I wanted to yell at her for that.
I mean, she seemed more than accommodating to talk to people and take pictures. So like Sarah got pictures with her, and apparently like at one point Sarah was like trying to do a selfie, but she was so nervous that her hand was kind of shaking. So like her handler or whatever, whoever was there with her, was like, I can take the picture for you. And it took me till like a day and a half later to be like, hey, wait a minute, who the heck took that one picture?
Nice. I had a quick day on Saturday as well, because I went and saw Critical Role live at Camden, and because I got home from the show on Friday at like probably 5:30, maybe 6 o'clock. Like no, like even before that, I think I got home by like 4 or 5, something like that, and I crashed. I passed the fuck out. I didn't get a lot of sleep the night before by accident, and then like it was a rough night, and I was running a lot on adrenaline, and so like I was like, all right, Saturday I'm leaving latest 3 o'clock because I want to take a nap before Critical Role, because Critical Role is going to start at 7, and they're going to go till at least 10 or 11, if not later. Show didn't end until midnight. So like Saturday I had a meeting planned, like I said, at 2 o'clock or at noon, but the last thing I did on Friday was to go around to the D&D booths. I can't remember what the company's name was that ran it on Saturday. But there was a company that was running a lot of D&D stuff, had some booths for D&D on the main hall, in the expo hall. Let's see if I can pull it up real quick without it being too long. No, it was over by the demo tables. Let's see if I can pull up the demo tables map and see if I can find them. Not wrong. No, I don't know. I don't know what they're. I can't remember the name of them, but it's one of the bigger companies that runs a lot of the D&D stuff at PAX. I found their booth, and they were doing like teaching people how to play on the upstairs on the expo hall floor, and they were like, well, you can go downstairs and find out how to sign up down by the meeting, down by the actual RPG room. So I go down to the RPG room, and there's like 4 people there, and they're all older people, like stereotypical older nerds too. And I'm like, how do I sign up for tomorrow's game? They're like, what game? Well, the 4-hour one. And they're like, you have to do it on the app. You can't do it until 8 o'clock in the morning, first thing tomorrow morning. You can't sign up until then. I was like, oh, okay, great. So I ended up not knowing if I was going to be going to my meeting at noon or playing D&D until 2 o'clock. Until that morning. Woke up first thing, checked it, clicked it, signed in to play. It was Elemental Scions of the Elemental Invasion or something like that, I believe was the game name. And it was based on, I can't look it up on the app because like it didn't I don't know, it's not saved on the app what it was.
Of course.
Was it Scions of Elemental Evil? Might have been Scions of Elemental Evil. Yes, definitely. That's what it was. Scions of Elemental Evil. It's the 50th anniversary like celebration. It is based off of, or the characters you play as. It's an Adventure League style game with all pre-gen characters. So you pick one of the characters. You have a full table of, what was this? 5 of us, 6 of us, 5 of us, and you pick these pre-gen characters. They're all based on the original D&D cartoon. So you're playing. So the D&D
kind of cool.
Yeah, the D&D cartoon was kids playing D&D. You're playing as their characters. And so, like, they have weapons and abilities similar to what they had in that game. The game ran for 4 hours. It was really fun. The group I had was fun. Our DM was great. Again, that's another thing I'm going to get more in-depth on in a future video. But I was excited to finally, in 6 years of PAX, finally play fucking D&D there. Something I've been wanting to do every year. But prior to this year, it required you going there first thing in the morning and registering for a game. And
is this the first year you could do it on the app?
As far as I know, yes.
I didn't realize that.
I've never tried it in previous years, but as far as I know, this is the first year. So yeah, I got to play D&D. It was really fun. I had a great time. The characters are really cool. I have pictures of the characters and stuff. I'll show that off in a future video. But yeah, it was an awesome thing. And then, like I said, I got to go see. I left right as soon as that was done at 2 o'clock because my goal was leave by 3, and I'm like, it's 2. There's nothing I can do between now and 3 that would really matter. So I'm going home now because it's going to take me till 3 to get home. And then I crashed on the couch until 5:30 when my friend got here, and we went to and watched Critical Role until midnight, which I was scared because I never watch Critical Role. I'm usually like working or something and listening to it and watching it while I'm working, so I'm never just sitting there watching it. And so I was scared, like, how am I going to actually like this? Am I not going to like this? What's going to happen? And I forgot to bring any like fidgets or anything like that, but it was fun. It was entertaining, and it pulled me in. And that is going to be another vlog style video that I'm going to be talking about, but that I'm not going to be releasing until the episode releases because I don't want to spoil anything for anybody.
That's fair. So I missed most of what you guys were talking about.
Just Saturday.
Yeah. I saw a couple of things on Saturday. So the first one was at the Mage Hand Press booth. They have a game called Witchy Cakes. I don't know if either of you guys saw this at all.
No, I don't think so.
So it's a card-based game where you're playing to build a cake, and you're just laying the cards down kind of like in a tower shape, like so like the base is like right in front of you, and you're building out from there. And you have to like match colors and patterns and stuff like that to lay the cards, and like some cards will have like a color and a pattern, so you can stagger them that way. You can also lay cards on your opponent's cake towers, which might seem counterproductive because the goal of the game is to build the higher cake by the end of the game. But what you end up getting is there are certain cards that have like a color pattern on the side of them, and you can use those cards to knock down your opponent's cakes, or at least knock 3 tiers out of their cake, kind of like you would like bring down a level in Tetris when like you clear a line. You can knock three tiers off their cake and like bring all the rest of them down. And you do that by finding like the correct color pattern of their cake. So if you're throwing the cards on top of their cake, you can kind of create that color pattern yourself to like knock it down a little bit. Mm-hmm. And then as you're playing, you're only drawing cards when you run out of cards. So the game generally goes pretty quickly because you're just constantly playing cards. And then inside the deck, there are 3 bell cards. And those bell cards are kind of like your countdown cards to the end of the game. Once all 3 have been drawn, game's over.
Okay.
So,
nice.
But yeah, it was kind of a cool, quick game. We ended up actually picking up a copy of this too, because again, it's quick. It's like 15, 20 minutes, and it'll play like up to 8 people. The guy at the table was actually the designer, and he's like, I have a bunch of games here today. This is actually my favorite game that I've made. It's quick, it's simple. People just tend to enjoy it because while it's competitive, it's not like a deep strategy game. Anyone can kind of just jump in and play it at any time. And even if you're not playing it to like knock people's cakes down, there's still that like building things up that you have to do to try to win. Mm-hmm. And then at that booth also, they had a what are those things in D&D called? A monster manual. And Rich, I told you a little bit about this too.
Yes.
So they're going to be kickstarting it. And I thought this actually sounded really cool. So it's an extinct animal monster manual for D&D. So every like page or so is a different real world extinct animal. And it's got like the story of the animal and like basically how it went extinct and its own like stat block, basically, like you would use for a monster in D&D. And then when you flip the page, the next page is like a fantasy reimagining of that creature with, you know, magic spells and all this other stuff that you would normally find in a monster manual. The one that I remember that he was showing us was there was some sort of like water mink or something like that, like an animal that was hunted in like the 1800s for its fur, and it was just hunted to extinction. Mm-hmm. And the fantasy version of it was this skinless thing that would literally hunt creatures to steal its skin back. And it was super cool looking and creepy, and I liked it. There was also there was like a certain type of bird that was extinct, and its like fantasy thing was a trio of birds that like play tricks on people. Mm-hmm. So like they were having fun with it. There were like different levels of like, some of these were like silly, some of them were actually kind of like creepy. But they did actually work with like actual like conservationists and like scientists and stuff like that to get as much of the science behind the real creature and what happened to them as accurate as possible.
Yeah.
So like some of this stuff was extinct long enough that like it's just educated guesses, but like they did their best to like fact check everything. I thought that was really cool, and it was actually, they had a copy of the book. It's a pretty big book, like it's a decent size.
Nice.
Yeah.
Real quick, honorable mention from Friday. I didn't have a meeting or anything with them. I walked by, and if I had expendable cash, I would have bought some of these. Is a company I told you about called Dodeca Donuts.
Oh, they make the one with the dice trays and stuff?
Yeah, so they make coffee cup dice towers, macaroon paperweights for like map weights. They call them macaroons. And donut dice trays, or donut dice holders. It's not a dice tray. You can't really roll in them, but it's a donut that holds them. I'm looking at their website right now, and I just shared an image in our chat. They have mimic donuts. But they're really cool, really well handmade. So like you're spending a pretty penny to buy these things, but like they look like legit fucking donuts, and they look amazing. And I was in like awestruck with these things, and I'm like, I wish I had expendable income to buy them.
They were so we kind of walked around a little bit to see if we could see them like on the way like out on Sunday, and we just didn't see the booth like without actually like zigzagging. Yeah. But we were looking at the card, and Erica actually looked up like the site, and they were really cool looking.
Yeah, they're really cool looking. Very, very expensive. Anything else for Saturday?
So there was one other thing we saw on Saturday. I don't remember the name of the game or the booth. And I thought I wrote it down, and apparently I didn't. I wrote down every other game we saw. Actually, I'm sorry, there were 2 games. I'm looking at my list now. So the one that I don't remember the name of, it was a mustache game. That's the best way I can describe it.
Okay, I walked by that one multiple times, but never like stopped to look at what it was.
Yeah, so it was one of those we were walking by, and the guy just happened to like catch our attention and asked if we wanted to give it a shot, and we're like, sure, like we're not doing anything else. So it's one of those like party like Cards Against Humanity style games where there's 3 different decks that you pick from. There's like a friendly, don't really know much about the person deck, more of a like we're comfortable with each other deck, and then like a naughty deck.
Is it I must ask you a question?
No.
Okay.
I was just trying to look it up and could not find it. But so the mustache part of it comes in where at the beginning of the game you pick what style mustache you want, and they have a bunch of pairs of cards with like a certain style of mustache. And you take those, and the cards are a positive or a negative like response. So yes and no, or like over under, depending on what the question card is asking. And then you kind of go around just like you would in like Cards Against Humanity or any of those style games, and you draw the card and you read the question on it based on like you pick from whichever pile you want to. And then everyone else around the table holds up their response card like it's a mustache, because the back of the card has a mustache on it. And that's like you locking in your response. And then the asker will then give their answer. And the 2 people will then flip over the card they're holding up to show whether they were over, under, yes or no for it. So two of the cards we had, like question-wise, was Erica had one where she had to like just insert a random number for how far away her birthday was. So it was like, my birthday is in less than 5 months was what she went with. And then we had to pick either over or under. Either it was going to be more than 5 months or less than 5 months. And then the other card was that I had, it was I have given the Heimlich maneuver to someone. And that one was just a yes or a no card. Because we were in a convention with a stranger, we kept it to like the 2 like mild decks. We didn't go in the naughty one. But the guy was saying that like they kind of like started developing the game like in bars and stuff like that. So generally when they would play with new people, the first couple of questions would be like the really mild ones, and then the like we kind of know each other cards, and then apparently everyone would just go right to like the naughty cards and like go through them all, because at that point people have had a few drinks. It was as far as those games go, it was like a fun version of one of those games, but it's still one of those games. So kind of like if you've played them, you've played all of them. They don't change that much. It's really just like what questions did this company think up that maybe the other one didn't.
Yeah.
And like I
believe the game you're talking about is Haha Mustache. Name That Stash Game by Haywire Group.
Let's see. It is not this one. There are so many of these.
Strange. Okay.
Yeah.
This is exactly what you're talking about.
It really is, but this is not the same game. I just looked it up on Board Game Geek.
Okay.
And that game's also 14 years old or 12 years old. I can do math. It's 12 years old. This one was much newer. But yeah, I tried that, and then the last thing, I feel like we've seen them there before, but we played Trash Talk. Have you guys played that there before?
Yeah, we played that last year. We got a copy of that.
Oh, see, I didn't play it with you guys last year.
No, I think that was one that me and Richie were at.
Okay. Yeah, so we played Trash Talk, and it was one of those, like, sitting down and, like doing the little demo with the guy. I'm like, this game seems super familiar, and I'm like, I don't know if I played it last year, if I saw it last year, if you guys talked about it, but it was like, I remember this in a weird way, but not in a I've played it way.
What was Trash Talk? I don't remember it.
So it's there's generally like one person is kind of like, let's call him the DM, and then you have your players, and you each get a random piece of like trash, and you get 4 cards, or you get as many cards as there are players, and you lay those cards out, and they're just like single words. So we had like surprise was one of our words, and expensive. And one of the item that I had picked up was like a toy car, and somebody else in the group had picked up like a slinky. And
right,
so
okay.
you have to like put the item on the card that you as a group would most associate it with, and then the like DM style character person has like the same set of items and the same cards, and they're trying to guess ahead of time before you place them with where they think you will end up putting them.
I feel like that was at like the Forever Stoked booth last year.
Yes.
Okay.
So it had its own booth this year, like where they actually had like a dumpster set up next to it too, and like a person inside the dumpster playing a different trash based game.
Trash pandas, trash raccoon, whatever.
Yeah, I think it was Trash Pandas. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was one of those like it was a clever game, and the guys like you can actually just like you can add stuff to this game. Like if you just have two of an item, you can just make a new card, write down the name of that item on the card, and then like use that item too. It was frankly, he basically just told us you can just make this game at home. You don't need to buy it.
Yeah.
But it was actually kind of like it's one of those games where like it would be a quick, easy like to do if you just have like a larger game night, or if you're like waiting for people to show up.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that was our Saturday. We stopped and talked to some other booths, but didn't really like didn't demo much else because it was fairly busy and we got there pretty late.
No.
How was Sunday?
Light Saturday. Sunday to me was great. Quick. I did not have a meeting with these people, but quick shout out to the people over at Smirk and Dagger Games. I was walking the show floor on Sunday. I didn't have my first meeting until like noon, I believe. And so I'm just walking the show floor, and I see this game called Hi-Fi that catches my eye. And it's a record, like it basically like a DJ booth is basically what you can set it up as. But like the game, part of the game board is a full-on record player, kind of. And it's like a combination in a way of like sort of Ticket to Ride, but with music. You're trying to make music tracks, and not tracks of train tracks. Because the band The Meeples are coming back since 1974, and you are a record producer, and so you're trying to produce a track of your ticket shows, basically. Like whereas Ticket to Ride, you're trying to build a train from one spot to another. Hi-Fi is you're building a track that your ticket shows you want to build. I walked by their booth. I had been there all weekend. It was the first time I'd seen it somehow. That's how big this show is. And I look at it, catches my eye, and he's like, "Hi, how can I help?" I'm like, "I've been here all weekend. This is the first time I've seen this game." He's like, "I could get you a review copy." And I was like kind of still asleep. I was like, "Great." Or I was like, "Yeah, sure." And then it hints on me. And he's like, "Awesome. Like, here, let me show you how to play, and then I'll go get you a copy." I was like, "Oh, thank you so much." And then I woke up, and I'm like, "Oh my god." I had no meeting with this guy. I did not plan anything. I just walked by. He saw my badge and said, "Let me tell you how to play this game, and then let me give you a copy." I was like, mind blown. So I got an accidental review copy, which was insane. But the cool thing is this game there's this thing called Dized, Dized, which is like a game tutorial service or app or something that will show you step by step how to play the game in quick, easy tutorials, like video sort of, or maybe just showing you how to set it up rather than you having to go through the book. Because I'm bad at learning how to play games. But this game looks really cool. It looks like it's got a relatively high score on like Board Game Geek, and it also it's fairly new. That was Smirk and Dagger. I just ended up walking by them and seeing the game, and I was like, "Okay, great, thank you so much." Oh my god. Then my first meeting was at noon. Cobb, you joined me for that, and it was with Loot Studios, and they were showcasing their game Malediction. So Loot Studios is primarily they make minis. They make miniatures, but they don't really make the miniatures. They sell the license to 3D print these miniatures. They sell the plans to these miniatures. I believe is mostly what they do. And they decided, why not make a board game? So they're a Brazilian-based company that decided to create a 1v1 army battle game, basically, where you have your little tokens that you can move around, and you use the cards that you have to command them and place them and summon your enemies, and you have to just go fight. And the whole point is to have a higher battle score than your enemy, basically. Usually goes, I believe we played 3 rounds. I think that's what he said. It's normally about 3 rounds. It might be more.
Yeah, we had three full rounds.
Yeah. And the game itself comes with little cardboard tokens that you can play. However, every game box comes with a free download code for the 3D printing plans of each of these tokens. So you can 3D print these figures. It's not just characters. It's land pieces as well. They're huge land pieces. I have a whole video showing like us playing it as well as like just showing the booth themselves. I believe it was Drew, remember the big booth that had the Tiamat statue? Where it was all like brightly white and lit up. That's the same booth that does this game.
Okay.
And the miniatures are huge. They're really good quality. I'm sure they have great 3D printers. The game was fun. It was pretty easy to pick up. It's not too difficult. The barrier to entry is a little high. It's the best way to play it is for each player that's going into the game to have their own box. So it's $50 per box. Because
no. Hold on.
Or no, it's $75 per box.
Just 70 per box, unless you buy all 4. Then they're $50 per box.
It's $200 total. It's $50 per box. So each player needs their own box because you draft your army from the box. You can play with one box, but you miss out on some features because you're minimizing the available resources to the team you're trying to draft together. But yeah, so like each player has to have their own box, so it's $70 per box, and you just get these little cardboard figures. But like I said, you can just, if you have a 3D printer, I'm not going to say you can just 3D print, but you get the free codes for 3D printing, which normally a game this size with figures this big, that would run you $200 per box. So it's like, in my opinion, it's a great deal. Cobb, I think you enjoyed playing it, right? You liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't hard. It comes with like a little plastic flexible ruler to help determine how far you can move, which is really nice.
I thought that was cool. Like it's not being grid based. Like
yeah,
you have free movement. It's got like a flexible ruler, so
yeah,
you can kind of zig and zag and like take whatever weird path you want to get somewhere.
Yeah.
As long as it's within the movement that you have.
Yeah.
The biggest complaint I have is like the game was fun. I feel like it loses a little something if you don't have the cool fucking 3D printed stuff.
Yeah.
And even when you have a 3D printer, some of those pieces were actually really big. You need a really good 3D printer to print something that big, as far as I know.
Yeah.
And like the materials to print it are going to be pricey too.
Yeah.
So like it's $70 for the box, but then you're talking probably quite a bit more for all the stuff you have to print to actually play.
Yeah, if you already have a 3D printer and you already have the materials for the 3D printing, like it might not be like I've never 3D printed. I don't know the cost of 3D printing, but I know generally a board game with those kinds of figures, you're looking at $150 per box. Whereas the 3D printing, it might be more expensive than $150 per box. It might be less if you already have everything. If you don't already have everything, then yeah, it's gonna be cheaper. But 3D printing has gone a long way since it started. So, like I said, I don't know the logistics of 3D printing, but I know normally a game like that would cost a hell of a lot more money than $70 per box, which is to me a great deal, especially since they're giving you the download for free for the 3D figures. They don't have to do that. They don't have to do that at all. They could just, all right, we'll just make you buy everything all at once and make you have to pay for it. Like the game overall was really fun. And you're right, you probably lose a little bit just playing with the little cardboard figures, but you work with what you got, in my opinion. And I thought the game was fun enough to where I think they might be sending us. If they reach out to us, they might be sending us a review copy. 1 or 2 review copies, but we'll see. I really enjoyed the game though. I thought it was fun enough.
Yeah, I did enjoy playing the game too. Like, I think it was actually like it was a cool type of like that style of game, and it didn't take as long as I feel like those style games usually take.
Yeah,
like it was the rounds and everything were pretty quick. The fact that you exhaust your cards, and once you exhaust them, you're done. So like, if you have a few more units summoned than like your opponent, you get to do more.
Yeah, you get to do more, but like maybe I was able to heal more and defend from dying because I didn't summon as like you summoned 3 right away. I summoned 2, I wasn't able to do as much as you could or something like that, but I had the mana to be able to do like healing and protection to where I was able to last longer, and then the last round I was able to pull out a ranged enemy out my ass and take you down, which was nice. I also challenged you for initiative to get initiative, which really helped me out too.
Yeah, that is one thing that I don't like that rule. Not the challenge. I think that's actually cool. That the tie just immediately goes to the challenger. I feel like that's one of those, if you tie, you should have to just go again.
I feel like maybe if a tie, since there is a dice component, there's a D20. I feel like maybe if a tie, maybe you should each have to roll the D20 and see who gets the higher number. But that's like more on it's both chance. But like normally the idea would be like I challenged you at the last round, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to summon my strongest enemy or my strongest card.
That's why I threw that one too.
Yeah, so I threw it down, hoping that like, oh, maybe you didn't have that one left or whatever. It's just we might have in the future we might have different, because if we draft our cards differently, we may have different cards. We might not always have that level 8. So the draws probably don't happen as often as they may seem, I would think. But yeah, that draw rule maybe should work a little bit different, but at the same time, it helped me win, so I like it.
Yeah, and that was one of those, like, I was winning for like the first half of the game, and then you had a way to heal yourself, and you were able to take out my guys, and you won the back half.
Yeah. But yeah, other than that, like walking around the show floor on Sunday, I didn't really see much else that like really caught my eye. Then we had that meeting that didn't happen because I never got to talk to the guy. And then my final meeting was with Czech Gaming Edition. Right, that's how. Yeah, the Czech Gaming Edition, which is like Czech Republic developers create games from the Czech Republic, and like their games, like their biggest game everybody knows is Codenames. Like they make that game, and they have a bunch of different games. I met with them because they have this game coming up called SETI, which is Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, and the board itself is freaking huge. Where you're basically trying to locate extraterrestrial life in our solar system by using resource points and allocating them from one spot to another by using this is a term I just learned this year, worker placement. I did not know that was like a tag for games where you're placing workers in certain spots as like an engine building component. And the workers will give you the action resources. I believe this one, they labeled this as like a bit of a worker placement type of game, where the first half of the game, you have certain goals to find the extraterrestrial life. And then once you find it, you have goals to communicate with them. So like it kind of changes. There's 8 different extraterrestrial lives or life forms that you can find. And every game, there's always randomly 2. So you pick 2 out of the 8, you place them upside down on the board, and then once you find them, you flip them by completing different goals. The board itself, there's actually like a what's the word? When the Earth rotates around the sun, the whole solar system rotates. What's that called?
Orbit.
Orbit. Yeah, there's a whole orbit system where like you move a token from say yellow from one spot that'll go over yellow, you only move the top orbit. Then it moves from over the blue, you move the second orbit, which moves the top and the second. And then you go over red, it moves all 3 orbits. And then it goes back to the top where it moves the smaller one, which is a really cool system. The whole board itself has the pieces that you play off of are all indented so that when you're placing tokens, it's actually like setting in it so you don't like move things around too much. The board looks very extravagant, but it when you get into playing it, it seemed like it would be very, very, very quick and easy. I loved the idea of this. I love space. I love that idea. So it is likely they said that they will send me because they ran out of early copies of this game because I don't think it's out yet or it's released. It might have just released, but they didn't have any more early copies. That they will send us an early copy when they have more. And on top of that, they were showing me they have this new game called Little Alchemist, which is a child version of the game Alchemist, where you're trying to make potions. And the whole learn to play feature is on an app on a phone. So it'll teach the kids how to play in a whole cartoon way. It's super cute app. That like even playing the game, you have to actually scan your cards that show what the ingredients are to make a potion, and you fill out this triangle trying to figure out what potions you need. And the more you play, it's kind of Legacy-esque, where the more you play, the better you get at the game, the more advanced you can make it. So it's like it's labeled for kids like 5 and up, but like maybe a 5-year-old should only play level 1 until they get old enough and good enough to understand the game to where they can move up to level 2. And there's multiple levels of the game. It was super adorable, super cute. My brother and his family got it. When I saw it, I was like super excited about it to show my brother because I'm like, this is a game I want to play with my nieces. And then they showed me a card game called Moo, which is being developed by one of their German counterparts. I believe German. I can't fully remember. But it was a card game that like initially I was interested in, but I'm going to be 100% honest. I kind of like lost interest when she was telling me about it and kind of forget really what it was about. Because like it's just like the cards are like playing cards sort of thing. Like the cards have numbers on them. And I didn't quite understand what she was trying to say. It's like a trick game is what she was trying to say. And I don't really understand what she meant by that. So like it kind of lost me on that one. But she also gave me a review copy of Lost Ruins of Arnak, which is a game I've never played or really heard of. But I was telling her about the games I like, how I like engine building games and things like that. And she's like, you'll probably like Lost Ruins of Arnak, so I'll give you a review copy.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, they're really awesome. They have a room outside the expo hall every year, and I've never walked into it. And I don't know why. Like they have a bunch of really good games. And I've never really paid attention to it. I've never really walked in there, and like I'm gonna be checking in with them every year from now on. They also had like when you walk in, they had a little booth thing for Little Alchemists, where you can go up and you can make a potion. And so they ask you, like, what kind of potion do you want to make? And it's like luck. It was luck, flying, or something else. And I was like, I want to make a flying potion because I just want to fly home right now. I don't want to walk anymore. And so they had little things on the table, like pretty much you're trying to figure out what to use to make whatever potion you're trying to make. And so they had like, this is ghost root, and this is a chicken leg, and there was something else. And I was like, well, this is a bird leg, so birds fly. Ghost root, ghosts fly, so let me use that to make a flying potion. And they put it in, and it's like, all right, well, you play the chicken leg, so now you need to cluck like a chicken and spin around. I was like, all right, fine, and I did it. I wish I got somebody to record me doing it. But I was able to make my flying potion, and it gave me a little flight pin. It was really cool.
Nice.
Yeah, they had some interactive things like that. My nieces made a luck potion. Yeah, it was a good time on Sunday. But I probably spent about an hour just chilling upstairs in like the cafeteria area, just relaxing, waiting until the CGE appointment because I was just tired. I was done. I was exhausted. It was a long, good weekend.
Yeah, when we split away from you after that one didn't work out, you seemed tired.
Yeah, I was also starting to get very hungry. But like I had stacked my afternoon to a point where it wouldn't have really been feasible to go get food, and that was an accident on my end. But that was also because Malediction was supposed to be on Sunday, not Saturday. Or Saturday, not Sunday. So had Malediction still been on Saturday, then I would have been able to be like, all right, let me go get food and relax before my last 2 appointments. But yeah, it was the most walking I've done in a 3-day span in a really long time, especially after surgery. So it was a long It was a long weekend, but it wasn't a bad weekend. I do feel bad that like we didn't really get to do much game playing. I know I like talk crap on like I'd much rather just do it at home, but like I would play games if you guys got games to play at the show, and I do feel bad that
you said you didn't want to, so we didn't ask you.
I never said I didn't want to. I just said like I'd much rather just go demo games. But like if I'm walking around with nothing to do, I'll do it. But like you guys were gone by like 2:00 on Friday. I was gone by 2:00 on Saturday, and then we had a busy afternoon on Sunday. I didn't really get the chance to do that. So it's just like we didn't have a lot of time to do it. And our buddy Matt was asking us to play games, and we didn't really get a chance to, and I felt bad for it. And that's all.
Yeah, Drew, did you end up making it on Sunday? I know you had some car trouble.
Nope, we decided just to skip it and chill since we had a concert on Sunday that we wanted to go to.
Yeah, and car stuff always kind of like puts like just a hamper on any plans.
Yeah, like it was done by like noon, but at that point it was like, okay, well, do we go over for like 3 hours and then go home again and then go to the show, or do we just completely say fuck it and just go to the show later?
And then it's you're looking at paying for toll twice, paying for parking twice.
I mean, assuming, well, we didn't have to pay for parking at the venue. It was all just on the street parking.
Mm-hmm. But still, it would have been a lot. I get it.
It was going to be a whole mess, and we just decided, fuck it. We'd rather have more energy for the show later.
Yeah.
So,
any kind of last thoughts, opinions on PAX this year? No, I thought they did really good at the show this year.
Yeah.
I don't, like I said, my complaints were, one wasn't even about the show, and the other one was like more trivial. But it's something I look forward to every year. Is that mystery box, and it's not against PAX. It's the company that runs it. It's because they just didn't have the stock for it.
And they were still doing something for charity.
Yeah. So I ended up buying Set a Watch. It's like a game where you're adventurers and somebody always has to stay at camp while everyone else is fighting because you need to make sure to keep the fire rolling and whatnot. So I ended up buying that just to. All the proceeds went to Toys for Tots, so it was it was at least something that did that was like a charity mystery box thing. Yeah. And I generally enjoyed it. I had some complaints about just the way they laid out the floor. I think they put a few too many of those larger booths kind of in the middle that broke things up and made it very hard to go kind of like up and down aisles, which then just makes it overly complicated to kind of like keep track of where you're at if you're trying to actually go up and down all of the aisles. Yeah, like I'm looking at the map right now, and there are like let's say from the 30, it's from the 3000 and from anywhere prior to 3000, those rows just make no sense. And then it starts to settle down, but doesn't really get aligned until you're at the like 3900. Yeah, and they actually, because they had some of those extra large aisles, like there was no 38. It went 39, 37. Yeah. But I like that they had like there was two primary extra large aisles, one going vertically, one going horizontally. But then like you had a couple of other vertical lines that were a little bit larger, which I appreciate that they did that. Like give people space to breathe and walk outside of the main, I think, because it didn't feel as crowded at times. Like there were spaces that you were like you couldn't move, but then when you got to those bigger lines, those bigger like lanes, it didn't feel crowded. It didn't feel tight and congested. Yeah, they generally do a pretty good job of having enough space to get around. But also, I didn't go to the show floor on Saturday, so I have no idea what it looked like. No, like so even Saturday, like we were able to walk around pretty much fine. Like there were a few like congestion areas, but nothing like you run into at like the Javits Center. And they at least like they have like those root beer booths there that every convention fucking has, but they keep them towards the back and actually like kind of away from everything, so they don't congest things the way they do at every other fucking convention. Yeah, because so many other conventions just have them like in the middle of an aisle, or the Javits Center always puts them in like the back right corner where it's already hard to get around. PAX is like no, like we're gonna put you guys towards the back near where like the actual like convention food is.
and not in an aisle so that you can have your own queues and not fucking block shit. And I appreciated that.
Yeah.
But I think that will probably do it.
Yeah. That was, yeah. There's some things I did this week outside of PAX, but I don't need to put it on this week. We'll talk about it next week. Technically, one thing I can't really talk about until the week after because it would spoil a Let's Play series. But I'll probably talk about it next week.
All right. Well, with that said, if you'd like to find more of our content, you can head over to www.one-quest.com. You can also help us out by supporting us at patreon.com/onequest. If you can't support us there with your dollars, though, you can go to your favorite podcast platform, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, rate us, review us, subscribe to us. It all helps. You can also find us on social media, facebook.com/onequestonline or at @1_quest on Instagram and Twitter. Instagram should have a bunch of pictures from PAX. I know Erica was posted on there. Rich, I think you did a little bit too.
No, I'm not logged on to our socials for some reason.
Oh, you used to be. Erica posted a bunch of stuff on there. So there are a bunch of pictures on there from PAX if you'd like to check them out. Our YouTube channel is youtube.com/onequestvideo, and you can always send us an email to social@one-quest.com. And Rich, what does your streaming look like?
Twitch.tv/B_1. That's for video game streaming Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. I still need to beat Immortals Phoenix Rising. And I played. I will. Now that I've finished Monster Hunter, I'm not going to be playing that as much as I was the past week because of focusing on trying to get an item I'm never gonna fucking get. So, Monster Hunter's back to once a week, and Immortals Phoenix Rising, I'll be playing a lot of that over the next few days and weeks to beat that by January. And Sea Thieves, and whatever else I can get into. Come hang out.
Nice. And with that, we will be back next week with something else to talk about. Thanks for listening. Bye.
See yous.
Bye.